Okay, today I'm gonna talk about form in React. Specifically, in the form, we're gonna talk about the controlled component and uncontrolled component. These are two most important concepts in React form. So, first one is uncontrolled component. So what is uncontrolled component? Is an element nested in the form which will return value whenever you want to use it. And so controlled component is an element nested in the form which whose state will be stored and state value will be returned when used. So these are two concepts. I'm gonna give you two examples to show how what is the difference between these two types of control and these two types of components. So first, I'm gonna give it a def uncontrolled. Both these two concepts are an element in the form. So we need to create a form first. Strapped formal, and we have class form1 extends react.component, and inside of this component we render a form. So we have input field. I'm sorry. So we have a we have a form, and the action could be anything. Currently, I'll just set up a Google. And the method is get. Instead of this form, we have an input field. One is username, and another one is password. And after then, we have a button. It says "click me." Every time you click the button, it will just submit the form, right? Username, password, button. So in this input field we have, of course, we need a name. It's username, right? We need a name which is password. And we're gonna render this for we're gonna render it first. So for one and one on controlled. right? We have a form when the title is uncontrolled component. So when we want to input something in these two input fields, and then we click the button, a message will be returned, shows the username is blah 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 and the password is something. So suppose we want to get the value, we need a so we just add a function first. We can give it an on click. This dot show data. Show data 1. So you need a show data 1 console log dot this input 1. To get the value, we need to put a ref inside of this input field, right? So we have talked about this before. In this case, I'm going to use callback function to get the ref. So ref this dot input 1 dot say current node, and we give it a C. Okay. So same thing. Now we can get the value, and we retrieve the data here. Input 1. We should use the name user name password to make it more reasonable. User name this dot password. Test 1 2 3. Okay, as you can see, it has been redirected to another page, right? So we want to print this function. Normally in raw JavaScript, or either in raw JavaScript or in JavaScript, or in React, we do event prevent default. Test 1 2 3. As you can see, there are the two node have already been have already been returned. So we want to get the value. Test 1 2 3. Click. Right. As you can see, it has already been returned here. So let's do alert. We'll give it a string template. So username this dot username password object input element. Okay. Value. Test 1 2 3. Right. So we have already got this message. So now you know the uncontrolled component is an element necessary in the form which will return value whenever you want to use it. So every time you want to use it, the value will be returned by ref, right? So you just get the current node to get the value there, right? So this is the uncontrolled component. So compared to uncontrolled, there is a controlled component. So every time we want to use it, we get the value from state object instead of getting node from the form element directly. At the same time, I want to clarify that you still can do. Normally, we want to do on submit, right? You will see it's same thing. It is same, but not exactly same, because on click button will execute before before this on submit. So I will show you right here. So let's give it an anonymous arrow. So on click event, on click button. Okay. So, okay. Alert on click button. Test 1, 2, 3. On click button, right? But they can do. Eventually, they are pretty same, right? As long as you return true here, then on submit will be executed after this on click event, right? So it's pretty similar. This is a small thing. So now we want to copy this. Based on the same example, I will show you what is controlled. Component. So as you can see here, so it says whose state will be stored and the state value will be returned when used. So in this case, we need to get rid of this ref, right? Because we don't want to get this node every time we use it. We want to store the value of this node each time when the value changed. So this time we want to do a change, right? So save user name, right? Changed this dot save password. We just remove this, and we have a function should be show data to. This one should be show data to, right? So now we have already changed this ref to onChange event. So how could we get the value? We have talked about this from last class before. So we need a safe user name. How could we get the value? We can use this.set state user name event dot target value, right? So we have already talked about this before from last class. And when you want to use it, you have to pass this. So okay. Also, we need to save password event password event dot target dot value. Right now, every time when we change the values from in the input field, every time we change the value in the input field, it will be stored into the set state password event target value. It will be stored in the state first, right? So in this case, we have to get this from state. State password. Okay, so test 1, 2, 3. Click me. As you can see here, it says username test password, right? But every time if we change the value of username and password, target dot value, so we do test. As you can see here, right? Every time we change, it will call on change from event and use the save data, save username or save password function to save all the values into the state. And after that, we submit the form. We call on submit, and we will get the value from the state. So this is controlled, all controlled by state, by this inside of this component. And the first one, it is uncontrolled. Whenever you need the value, you need to retrieve the data from the node, from the DOM elements directly. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Click me. This is the difference between controlled component and uncontrolled component. It depends when you should use either one of them. It is all based on your. It is case by case, but if you're not sure which one to use, you just choose controlled component, because React or Vue or any modern front-end frameworks, they recommend to use data-driven UI or data-driven components, right? So if you're not sure, you just use control component. So yeah, this is pretty much about the form in React today.